Hello traders and welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 208. Iliya here tuning in. As always, you know what we're going to be doing in this video. In fact, in this one we're going to be having a monthly outlook and setups because today is the 2nd of September. The monthly candle has closed and we have to have a look at the monthly time frame, see how the candle closed, and potentially try to forecast where could the next monthly candle go, which is usually a little bit hard to do. But if we have more confidences, we can potentially forecast the biggest direction that we can have, which is kind of the monthly time frame. That is going to help us frame a very kind of macro bias. And of course, in this video, we're going to be practicing performing a very big top-down analysis, going from the monthly all the way to the 4H. We don't look at the 15-minute on this weekly outlook. And of course, the aim of the weekly outlook is to train your eyes, is to train like your skills on how to perform top-down analysis, how to approach the market, how to analyze it. Because again, real time from Monday to Friday, if you're not in an amazing community like ours that shares like daily analysis and setups that happen throughout the day, you are alone, because trading is a solo business and pretty much you need to have the skill to flow with the markets, to perform your top-down analysis, so you know pretty much what to trade, right? As you know, every month as we do the monthly outlook and setups, I am picking a giveaway winner. So whoever has a heart badge, and a heart badge is obtained by commenting on every single video, and as you accumulate a lot of comments, YouTube automatically puts like to the right of your name a heart badge. And the giveaway winner that is gonna win full access to the Fanatic Way program. Those are two incredible modules with more than 200 hours of content, an amazing strategy, combined with the Fanatic Flicks, which has 150 hours of webinars, backtesting sessions, live training sessions, and all of that stuff. Trading community, the Fanatic team, where we have plenty of perks, daily analysis, live sessions we host 2 to 3 times a day, weekly webinars, 24/7 support from me and from mentors, and of course one-on-one sessions with me. And this winner is gonna be Sky Vision. So thank you, Sky Vision, for all the support, for tuning in on every video, for showing your love, for giving your thoughts, and for always leaving a comment and a like to the videos. And this is a gift from me to you. So Q4 is going to be amazing for you. So get in touch with me. Let's get you inside the team and get to work. As for the others, make sure you're subscribed, turn on the notification bell, and always leave a comment below the video. Just share your thoughts. Tell me if you liked the video, if you didn't like the video, some feedback. What did you trade this week? What did you do? So you accumulate those hard badges and you can be one of the lucky winners to join the Fanatic team. Now, without further ado, let's get into the video because we have a lot to cover. Alright, as always, we're gonna get started with a Dixie. I had a question on my last outlook that was, why do you always start with a Dixie and what is the benefit of it? So again, you can type in Google, what is the DXY, right? And you're gonna be given a certain percentage of currencies. So the DXY is pretty much a basket of Euro, JPY, GBP, Swiss franc, and I don't know, like the Czech krona or something, right? So pretty much this shows you like how strong the dollar is against all the other currencies. And the majority of us are going to be trading pairs like Euro USD, GBP USD, Aussie USD, NZD USD, right? So just by looking at the DXY, you can immediately kind of learn and try to forecast what could potentially happen on those currencies just by looking at this basket. Right, so the DXY, very important because we're pretty much judging the strength of the dollar. Now, before we jump into the technicals, let's have a look at the fundamentals first for next week. Now we have a bank holiday, pretty big bank holiday actually on Monday for the US. However, the Europe session is going to be open and we also have a speech from Lagarde. So again, that does not mean we should not be showing up on that day. Tuesday, rate statement, interest rate decision for the Aussie. So Aussie traders, watch out for this. We are expecting to keep the rate the same, which pretty much might not have a big impact. But then of course the rate statement and what the bank is going to say is what is actually going to give us the volatility. GDP followed on the next day for the Aussie. So looks like a big week for the Aussie. We even have trade balance right there. Euro retail sales, PMI, interest rate for CAD as well. So CAD traders, prepare for some moves on that nasty pair CAD. I don't like it. And a speech from the Aussie. So very big week for the Aussie. GDP for the Euro on Thursday. GDP for the JPY. This one, harmonizing, is not very important because it's for Germany, not the whole Eurozone. So we have quite a couple of news. Again, you gotta be careful. Interest rates right now are the biggest thing right? Apart from NFP and CPI, interest rates are very volatile. So again, be careful, wait for those to play out, and then of course look to enter into your trades. But I don't see anything to be like extremely worried about for next week. So let's jump onto the charts. Now, the dollar has been bullish for like quite a while, since like June 2021. Like this is pretty much the low. We had a massive uptrend on the dollar, very strong. And right now we had this sort of a pullback, and the market has been chopping around since the beginning of this year, right? So you can see there's the January candle, and from January all the way until right now, the whole year, we didn't make any trend. So you can see actually this year, by looking at the monthly time frame, we are in an overall chop, right? There is no move up, there is no move down. We have been just chopping inside this consolidation. So that kind of means that maybe next year, right, because we don't have a lot until next year, then we can maybe start having some trends, right? If we have a look at the overall range from the high to the low, right, if I just take the lowest low, like the last pullback right there before this big push, the market pulled back below the 50%. And you know what that is, right? Pulling back below discount, which means that the market is getting a discounted price in order for it to push up. What I immediately see below the 50% is that little bit of imbalance that was filled during the month of July, right? And that month of July, we had quite some equal lows right there. The market swept them with this beautiful pin bar. And after this pin bar, we formed the bullish candle in August, which kind of also prints a little bit of a morning star, but also like a pin bar followed by a bullish candle that is also an engulfing candle, is a pretty bullish sign, I would say. So just by looking at the monthly time frame, it gives me definitely more bullish vibes rather than bearish. And just by what happened recently, right? So we could expect more rate hikes for the dollar, and when the rate is hiked, when the rate in the interest rate is increased, that follows with a strength of that corresponding currency. So again, we could potentially expect longs. If we just zoom in, like the most recent level for potential liquidity is this. We have another one right there. So we can expect like this month already open on the 1st of September, and you can see already the move that we made. I'm not sure if this is actually true. Definitely could be, but we can right now expect the monthly candle to continue pushing up, take out this high, maybe even take out this high. So what I'm gonna say is that according to me, the monthly time frame is bullish. Now, dropping onto the weekly time frame, you can see we had quite a bit of a chop right there. Like we broke down right there, and then what we had, according to me, is a weekly trend change. So that is a weekly trend change. We can of course change it like this. I always suggest you guys mark up your structure breaks like this. So again, this is a weekly structure break. Let's make it border, right? And the market right now is in an overall push phase, right? It pushed very sharply, right? We have quite a couple of candles. So that is 6 weeks of the market actually being bullish, right? And where is it potentially going? Well, it's seeking liquidity. Like the first liquidity was here, but as we took it, we just continued to push up. So there was no huge reaction. So I can immediately presume or try to forecast that the market could potentially be headed for this high right there. And this weekly candle actually gave us a very nice pullback to the downside, and then it closed in a very bullish manner. So that is a very big rejection. So can we start expecting for the market to push us down even further? Well, maybe not until we take some major liquidity, because what I see is that the market quickly came into feeling that little bit of a weekly imbalance right there. And of course we have that bigger one down right here, but again, this one is most likely not gonna get filled pretty soon because it's very far away, right? It's like 300 pips. So let's see. Overall weekly time frame is bullish, but then on the daily time frame we had a kind of a strange development. The market opened on Monday, kind of a choppy day on Monday, Tuesday bearish, Wednesday bearish, and actually like we had this kind of a structure break right there on the daily, and then the market went on and took out this low. Right now, like we can try to ask the question, is this a liquidity grab or is it a structure break? Because again, if we take it as a structure break, then of course this turns into our supply, and the market is right now into a daily bearish supply zone, right? So let's see what's gonna happen. I personally, just by looking at like the weekly and looking at the monthly as well, as everything is being bearish, I do believe the market actually pushed into the lows to grab the liquidity to create that weekly low, and then again we have 2 massively bullish days. So right now I won't say that the daily is really bearish, but if the 4-hourly is bullish, then I will just focus on longs. And yes, as you can see, like we had this push up. This is where the market aligned bearish on the 4H, because this was the 4-hourly high. Sorry, low. This is the 4-hourly low. That's the 4-hourly high. The market just pulled back, like it tried to hold from this zone right there. You can see the reaction. It tried to hold, it flipped to the downside, but then it came in and grabbed the liquidity below right there. It filled in that weekly imbalance, then just immediately said, nope. Hourly trend changed to the upside. It pulled back. Where did it pull back? 50%, filling in the imbalance at the 50%. And then pretty much that was NFP, I guess, that threw the market massively to the upside. So right now we have a brand new range. There it is. There is the new structure break that the market created. And I will just take like this whole thing as a potential demand zone. So again, after NFP, you don't want to be trading that much because like, yeah, you can see the market chop, will swipe quickly. You can see on NFP precisely the market went in to fill that imbalance, right? And then it just massively expanded into the high. So it's very bullish. A lot of things could happen. The market can just continue going up, breaking this level first, and then initiating a pullback. Or the market could first initiate a pullback, give us a long, and then potentially target the high. So those are the two situations I see, right? Looking at the speed, it's very likely that the market is going to head to take out this high first and then potentially initiate a pullback. But of course, guys, flow in the markets don't have any like specific outcomes in your head. Just allow for the market to show you what it wants to do. It's bank holiday on Monday, so stay tuned for Tuesday. This week I couldn't do the Tuesday outlook because I was extremely busy. So this week we're gonna have it. So there's my DXY overall bullish bias. So with that being said, we would expect all the rest of the USD pairs to be bearish. So Euro USD bearish, Aussie USD bearish, GBP USD bearish. Let's see if that is the case. All right, let's have a look at Euro USD, which, as I told you, it's pretty much an opposite to the DXY, right? If I just quickly flip the chart like that, right, you can see that is pretty much how the DXY looked like. A massive push, pullback below the 50%, this pin bar, then we have this bullish candle that, and pretty much here we came in to fill the imbalance, right? So pretty much the same. Now, again, just to do this from the high to the low, the market pulled back above the 50%. Was there any imbalance above the 50%? Well, the only one that I see was right there that was filled, and above there is nothing much. This one is filled, this one is filled. There is this one right there, but that is very far away. So the monthly time frame, just very simply, it's bearish. Right, so the biggest macro time frame, it's overall bearish between this high and this low. We pull back above the 50%. So right now, based on again expectations, we can expect for the market to head into the lows. Is it gonna happen? We don't know, right? But of course, the monthly bias is bearish. We had this very nice pin bar right there that kind of grabbed liquidity above this high, rejected. Bearish candle right there, not an entirely an engulfing candle, but we can potentially right now, similar to the Dixie, try to forecast that the market could take out this low and that it could come on to take out this low as well. Now, weekly time frame, what we had very recently is like a bullish market, so broke structure up right there on the weekly. What caused the break? It's this right there. So there is immediately our weekly trend change. So right now the weekly time frame, according to me, is bearish. Right, but of course we should be aware that there is going to be a lot of demand kicking in from right here. So again, what I see right now happening is because we took out this low, we're filling in the imbalance and we're tapping inside this very strong demand zone. We could potentially have a little bit of a pullback before we continue dropping lower, right? That is definitely the case. But again, I really don't like forecasting on the weekly because it's very kind of far away in time, and that is a little bit hard to forecast. I can definitely forecast the daily move, which is pretty much what is the most important, what is going to happen today, so you can capitalize. But again, those big time frames, they are a little bit hard to forecast, right? So this week we had again a very nice push into the highs. It looked very bullish at the time, and then a massive rejection to the downside, closing bearish. So very sharp rejection to the downside, which definitely like further illustrates that this market is nicely with a bearish sentiment right now, but it's making a lower low. So there is going to be a time in which the market is going to give us a pullback and then potentially continue. That usually happens if the market takes out a low or taps into some sort of a demand zone. So we're right now about to be tapping into demand. So let's see maybe how the daily looks like. Maybe the daily is going to offer us a clue. So you can see the daily just kissed this little demand zone, reacted, and what it actually did is, so I'm not sure, this doesn't really look like a valid range right there, and actually it's not, right? So you can say that this one right there was a daily structure break, but the range to me is actually starting from here to here. We just pulled back above the 50%, right? And right now we're just massively dropping. Okay, so you can see similar to the Dixie, the market came in, grab liquidity above this daily high, and right now it's headed with very big speed towards this low right there. So again, like very trying to forecast very far back in time. As the market takes out this daily low, I will immediately expect a retracement and then potential lower high, and then to continue with that overall monthly, that overall weekly trend. Okay, so this is how I see the daily. Right now we're headed with big speed. We're gonna take this low, right? We're gonna tap inside this zone. So I don't really expect the market to continue dumping like crazy, although that is possible. Okay, so as we take out this daily low, as we tap inside the zone, expect a pullback, but then of course keep focusing on shorts, because I really do believe the euro could be plummeting, to continue to plummet. Now, what happened this week? So I didn't take any trades this week because I was all over the place fixing the apartment, cleaning, furnishing, and all that stuff. So didn't really get any time to trade. But there was a forward structure break to the upside. There is a forward trend change. The market dropped, pulls back. Did it pull back to the 50%? Not really. Came in very close, right? And then we just plummeted to the downside once again. So there is the most recent structure break. There is the most recent supply zone. So this is pretty much what I also expect on the daily. That is perfectly gonna align on the Forex, okay? So right now the market is headed to be taking this low. So as we take out this low, I would then expect the pullback. So hopefully the forward time frame is gonna give us a pullback and then potentially drop to the downside. So the bias on EU looks very clean. It's bearish. Now, of course, we have to really wait to see how it's gonna play out. But again, take out the low, give us a pullback, lower high, and then potentially continue dropping lower, right? That's euro. That's how I'm gonna leave it. Very nice, very simple bearish bias, which perfectly resonates with what we broke down on the Indices. So that's the euro. Let's see how it plays out. Let's go to have a look at EJ. Euro JPY at first glance is looking pretty tricky because we had like 2 months of the market staying at this high. Like first we rejected very nicely, and then this month is kind of tricky. It's a bullish candle with a wick on top, not really any strength, but also not a lot of weakness. So very hard to determine what could potentially happen next month. But currently that is the monthly range, because there is the last structure break on the monthly time frame, and the market is currently like tapping inside this very big zone, right? There is very big buy to sell, right? When we're tapping inside this zone, we're getting inside it. There is lots of imbalance right there, so we can expect the market to chop around inside this zone, take a lot of liquidity, maybe before launching a move down. Okay, but again, I always say zoom in. What is happening right now? The market is bullish and it is sitting at a hard high. Okay, so that is all I could take from the monthly time frame. I only see like one imbalance, although I'm not very sure how imbalance works on the monthly, because I only usually use imbalance on the daily and pretty much on the daily, a little bit on the Forex. Then dropping onto the weekly time frame, well, you can see that also the weekly time frame is very high. Like this is the last weekly break. This pretty much turns into the last weekly demand zone, which I'm not gonna draw because it's gonna be rather big, and maybe I can just minimize it like this. So weekly lower, weekly higher low, weekly higher high. We're right now giving a little bit of a pullback, but you can see for 3 weeks we have been chopping around at the top. So this market is very high on the monthly, it's very high on the weekly, and it's most likely also very high on the daily. So I can see a lot of reasons for this market to go down a little bit, but again, this does not really depend on yeah, I see a lot of reason. The market is too high, because the market is never too high. It can just keep pushing up and up and up until like something happens. Now, daily time frame broke structure right there this week, and on Wednesday and then Thursday massively dropped lower. So yeah, right now technically the market is about to be tapping inside this daily demand zone, but most likely it's gonna break, because again, as I said, it's way too high. Like we broke up right there, but then just massive selling pressure. So is it gonna hold from here and keep pushing up? I really don't know. I do think we can take out this low, we can take out even this low, tap inside the weekly demand, and then from there we're gonna see if we're gonna go up. So what I would expect on the daily time frame is a break. Come on, maybe a pullback, drop inside here, and then from there to see what's gonna happen. So I don't want to call any shorts because we don't have a bearish daily yet, all right? But then on the Forex, like the forward time frame broke down. Yeah, the forward time frame was very tricky because that is the forward high and that is the forward low. So pretty much right here we came in and we made a forward break, and then immediately after this forward break we had a forward breakdown. Then immediately after this we have a pullback. Yeah, so we can potentially take this one here as our most recent lower high, but it's very tricky just after NFP because look at the price action we have right here. So very, 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 very tricky. I mean, JPYs have been extremely tricky. According, this is why I don't trade JPYs at all. So currently, this is the situation we're having. Like, the big question is, will the market hold from here and break this daily low from this zone? Or is it gonna be pushing up a little bit more to fill all of this imbalance right there, or some of it at least, right? And then drop to the lows. Why I do expect shorts? Well, it's because of all the time frames. Like, the market is way too high. I see a lot of liquidities being grabbed. Like, you can clearly see like the patterns here. If I can get the brush, like a range, took out the low, took out the high, massively took out the low. But again, this push failed to continue pushing lower. So the market came in, took out that high, and launched sales again. So the same patterns repeat. And again, you can see it's very hard to draw a bias on the FOH, because the market breaks structural low. You say, okay, bearish, the market breaks higher. Then, okay, bullish, the market breaks lower. Okay, bearish, the market breaks higher. Right, so that is absolutely a market you don't want to trade, of course, if you're using market structure. But this is how I'm going to leave Euro Yen for now. That is the last hourly high, hourly low. The market already pulled back. So is it going to hold from here? Is it going to break up? So then if it breaks up, you're, of course, going to have a hourly bullishness. So then, of course, you got to see if the market is going to continue going higher, or then wait for another hourly trend change down and then short it. Okay, so according to me, the JPYs, a pattern that I spotted within myself and also doing these weekly outlooks is I always say give the JPYs some time. So this is pretty much why I don't trade JPYs at all, because I never see opportunities on them. They're always usually very tricky and they don't work very much with my strategy. So yeah, this is Euro Yen. That's how I look at it right now. Overall bearish bias. Let me know in the comments what you think, guys. But personally, I do believe this daily low is being taken. So if you get any shorts, you can definitely target this low. So let's see. Aussie dollar has been very tricky for quite some time, like not only on the bigger time frames but also on the smaller ones. Like here on the monthly time frame, we had a structure break, right? We had a trend change right there, push, higher high, higher low, higher high. Then we went on and we caused like a trend change down there, kind of we wicked up, then we again broke structure down right here. And then pretty much like the hardest thing we had a little bit of trouble deciding is like, is this the high, is this the high, or is this the high, right? Well, look, it really depends on what you take, because if you take this as your high, then you have like this wicks that, and then you can say, well, that is my range, and you can say it's bullish. If you take this high, you're fine, and if you take this high, we're still bearish. So what I'm gonna say is that I'm getting more of a bearish vibe on the Aussie dollar, right? Just because of like this trend change right there, this massive push, this pullback, and how the market held from here. We got a little bit of a pullback right there, right, with those wicks. And right now, like, look at the last monthly candle. Like, this is just enough to tell you it's bearish. Like, we had like 2 wicks, like you can see the wicks, like wick, massive wick, and right now we have a massive bearish engulfing candle forming like this evening star on the monthly time frame. Okay, so I would expect for this market to go down, because first, if you take this as your demand zone, the market pushed, it pulled back, it tries to hold, but it failed. So right now, it's either coming to grab liquidity below this low and then to launch up, or it's just about to reverse because we're bearish. Okay, so this is why I don't like the monthly time frame too much, because you can look at it at numerous ways. But again, let's just say that that is how we look at it right now. So overall bearish bias. Then of course, dropping onto the weekly time frame, we had a break here, then we had a trend change there. Then we had a break here, then we had a trend change right there. So the market was bullish, push, tries to pull back, but then it tried to push to take out the high, it failed, and then it just straight rolled to the downside and caused this weekly trend change. So currently that is the weekly range from this high to this low. The market is at a lower low, and this week we had a little bit of a bullish candle. So it's very tricky because we can start expecting a potential pullback on the weekly, right? Pullback and then a potential drop. Is it gonna happen? Well, could be, right? Just keep in mind the Aussie dollar and the NZD, like the New Zealand dollar, they're not part of the DXY, I believe, right? I'm pretty much 90% certain they're not, right? So usually like the Aussie and NZD move in a slightly different way than like Euro USD and the Dixie. Because if you can compare like this price action to this, it's nowhere close, right? So they are pretty much completely different currencies. Now, is it gonna happen this weekly pullback? We don't know. Let's consult with the daily. Well, the daily time frame is still very bearish. All right, so the daily time frame, that's the high and that's the low. So this is where we have the daily range, right? And the daily range tries to pull back right there, but it failed to tap the 50%. It tries to push, it fails, but then we pushed up. we pull back above the 50%, we took out this high as liquidity, and you can see we have been like sweeping this high for quite some time, failing to close above it clearly, right? But that was pretty much liquidity. That is a weak high. Why is it a weak high? Well, because it's a high that failed to cause a structure break, so then it becomes liquidity. And right now the market is trying to push down. So I wouldn't necessarily expect for the market to start feeling a weekly imbalance, because if it's just bearish and if the daily is like strongly pushing down, as I told you, it can continue to push down. But then you drop on the 40 time frame and it's an absolute mess, right? Just look at this price. Like, you just open this chart and you see this, and I'm like, if I was doing this live, I'm just gonna be like, next. Well, next looks even worse, right? So here on the 4H, man, like this one is very, very, very tricky. Like, took out the low, took out the high right there. So like here we had definitely a structure break, and then the market tried to hold from this demand. But again, you can see it tries to push, then it came in, it wicked it, creating like a trend change, and then it came in and it wicked the high. Okay, so it didn't wick out the high, but in fact the low was caused by this high. Man, this is very tricky. So what I'm just gonna say is, if I delete all that, we're having a trend change right there, because then this low, if this low caused the break, then it got broken, right? So this is the supply. But what I'm just simply gonna say is, stay away from the Aussie for now, because we have a lot of news next week. We have interest rates, we have speeches, we have rate statements. We also had like something else. Was it GDP? I'm not sure. But we have a lot of Aussie news going on. So again, just me telling you right now what's going to happen is complete nonsense, because the market has been chopping for quite some time right there. Again, just based on technicals and what is happening right now. Again, we saw the daily grab liquidity, pull back above the 50%. We chopped around, we grab a lot of liquidity. So the most recent alignment is bearish. So if we have like a pullback here and a short, that's all I can say for now, right? Short bias, but wait for the interest rates, wait for the news to be over, and wait for pretty much the right time to start trading. August has been an incredibly choppy month, like especially like the second half of August, you can see. So again, wait for the market to play out, wait for the structure to get clear, and then you're gonna trade. Aussie JPY, I give it an immediate skip, because again, this one, monthly time frame, it's at the hard high, but it's pulling back. No, it's not at a hard high, because the monthly range is this. So pull back below the 50%. So it's overall bullish, but it tries to push up to break out this high, and it failed, which means that this low could be liquidity. But again, this is the monthly time frame, so I really won't play this game right there, although that could definitely push down, take out this low as liquidity. But this can also be just a little stop of price before continuing to push up. Again, we don't know. Weekly time frame is bullish, but it has been chopping around for a very, very, very long time. And then of course, I'm just gonna go straight to the 40 time frame. Daily time frame is still in this bullish range, and then all of this price action is internal, trading between, this is the last 40 structure break, 40 low, 40 high, and for pretty much for a whole month, since August 1st to the August 31st, we have been in this range. So that is absolutely not tradable. So hopefully like this week, interest rates or something exits this range, so we can clearly get a direction and start trading the Aussies again. Okay, so Aussie dollar, skip it this week, give it some time, let it show you what it wants to do, wait for the interest rates. Aussie JPY, complete skip until we either take out this high right there, or we take out this low right there. So the Aussies, not the best pair to be trading. So of course, let's have a look at the NZDs, which are pretty much the same. All right, the NZDs, as I told you, pretty much similar to the Aussies. So we're gonna get a bit quicker. We had this break right there, and actually since this break, this is pretty much the range from this high to this low. We pull back above the 50%, and right now the market is kind of trying to make its way down, but it's in a kind of a very weak manner, right? So a pattern that I actually just spot this exactly right now, and it's already like towards the end of the year, is that this year didn't really move a lot. Like you can see, for example, here, this year, 2021, the whole year also didn't move a lot, right? And then we had this year massively dumping. And like this year, since January all the way until right now, we also chopped around. So can we expect next year to be the bomb? Maybe, right? So monthly time frame, bearish. Weekly time frame, also clearly bearish. Yeah, I just stumbled for a moment because we had this break, but then we had this breakdown. Then we had this breakdown right there. Then we have this break up that definitely looks like a liquidity grab. And then we immediately came on and we took out this low, which creates a weekly trend change. So right now, this is our weekly range. So again, similar to the Aussie, Are we going to be initiating some sort of a pullback and then dumping? Well, I don't know. We got to see on the daily first. And like if the daily is going to give us like a bullish alignment, come on, which it actually kind of does. How do I stop this? This doesn't stop. Okay, there we go. Just stopped it. And I drew a face right there. Now, we had a daily break right there with a wick, and then we have a daily break right there with a wick. So again, this just shows me that the market is chopping because it breaks with a wick lower and then breaks with a wick higher. So what is it gonna do, right? Not very clear. So again, a weekly pullback can potentially initiate if really the daily time frame starts trending nicely up. So far, we don't have any signs of like a daily trend up. So most likely when I drop to the 40 time frame, it's gonna be a complete madness, and yes, it is. Takes out the little chop, like again, middle of August, absolutely insane. So I'm gonna refrain from once again like giving biases, especially like on the O's and NZDs. But again, we broke up here, we broke down there, we broke up here, and then respectively, yeah, this one, no, it's still this low based on my rules. Yeah, still that is the low that needs to break in order to have forward trend change. But I'm just gonna say, guys, this is not tradable right now. So again, either wait for a clear break and then a potential retest and then maybe continue with the shorts, or wait for a clear breakup and a clear trend up and just wait for the market to get normal again. Like normal again, look at that, like this is good. That's a clear downtrend, clear lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Here we had a little bit of a chop, but then made a lower low, lower high, and then it just keeps flushing. What we have right now is just complete choppiness. So it makes no sense to be trying to make sense of the market, right? Now that is NZUSD. Again, as I keep saying, give it some time and wait for it to exit this ugly range before you start trading it. And I'm just gonna do exactly the same for NZJPY. Once again, low, high, chopping inside this whole month, inside this forward range, which is usually not happening a lot, but it's very choppy. So the daily time frame is bullish, low to high, chops around. Weekly time frame is bullish, low to high, chops around. So this one is definitely bullish. Like on the monthly, on daily, and on the Forex is bullish, but is struggling to do anything. So again, once again, wait for the break of the high, wait for the break of the low, and wait for this market to get normal again before we start trading it. So again, the NZDs absolutely a currency pair that I would not touch right now, and I pretty much advise you do the same. Next on the list is USDJPY, which is like the DXY, but for the JPY pairs, right? Because where USDJPY goes is usually gonna influence all the JPYs, like Euro Yen, Aussie Yen, NZD Yen, CAD Yen, and all the JPY pairs, right? So very important to also monitor USDJPY, which is a currency pair that you can definitely trade on its own. It's actually working pretty good. Now, getting to the monthly time frame, it is pretty bullish, right? Since like this whole choppy story right there, and in fact, this choppy story took like since 2016 all the way until like this is quite some time, right? All the way until 2022, we have been chopping around, and then pretty much like COVID hit and this sort of stuff, and we had this massive expansion into the upside, right? The market then later gave a little bit of a pullback, and right now it tries to make its way up, right? So we can say, yes, this market is bullish, but how much value do we get from analyzing the monthly time frame, right? This is why I don't do it. I don't even look at the weekly time frame. Like the latest addition I did was to add the daily, because the daily is more closer to like the lower time frames, right? But if I just say, okay, monthly is bullish, sure. I mean, monthly is bullish, but then of course, every single day you might get shorts, right, on the intraday time frame. So again, monthly is bullish. Come on, what is happening? Pulled back below the 50%, but now it depends on how you draw your range. If you take it from the lowest low to this high, it kind of pinged it, it kissed it, but then if you say, well, that is actually the last pullback before the push, it pulled back. So we can say that a 50% pullback has been achieved, and we can just say that the market could be headed for this monthly high. Now, dropping onto the weekly time frame, the weekly time frame is also very bullish. We had a weekly break of structure right there. We have a weekly demand zone right there. So right now the weekly is at a high, so we can potentially start expecting the market to pull back. Okay, and of course the pullback is going to initiate if the hourly and if the daily time frame align bearish. So we had a daily break of structure right there. And then we had a daily break of structure or a trend change right there, which does not look like it's going to hold, right? So let's see, I mean, with NFP right now, it's very tricky because Friday's candle, like in this case, it took out the low, but then it just massively rejected. So does that look like a strong break to you that is gonna like suggest the market is gonna go down? Well, to me, it doesn't really look like it, okay? So most likely the forward time frame right now is gonna get a little bit tricky, but here we had a break up, then we immediately had a breakdown right there. So then a pullback, lower high. So hopefully you took some shorts right there on Wednesday because it pulled back 50%, drop lower, lower low, right? Then of course you have a new supply, pull back, hopefully you took another short right there. You can see the JPY is not bad at all. Then it just massively dropped, took out this low. What caused the break of this low? Well, it's actually not this, it was this, right? So right here we're going to be having a forward trend change, which is then going to turn this into a forward demand zone. So here we're going to have a little bit of a battle between the daily, which I don't really think this is valid, and the FOIH. Just due to this week does not really look very strong to me as a daily break. So what I would expect to happen on the USDN is, because we're having a bullish DXY, this one can definitely go further as well. So maybe we tap inside, we pull back, and then from here we launch into the high. So that is a very simple forecast that I could potentially do for USDN. So I'm gonna say overall bullish bias right now, but just again be mindful that there is a lot of supply inside this zone, because that is like the daily high right now. Because again, if you just solely focus on wicks breaks, there is a break. So right now, daily high, daily low, the market is going to be pulling back into daily supply. But if you just apply a little bit of logic and just questioning this break, you can see, okay, we just took it out as liquidity and just massively impulse into the opposite direction. Lots of imbalance, a very clear demand zone right there. So I will also entertain a long idea. So let's see how it plays out, but I would presume that it's more bullish than bearish. So let's see how it plays out. If we get inside the zone, feel free to take shorts, but then your shorts are going to be against the forward trend, hopefully pulling us back down, and then potentially taking a big long towards this daily high. So let's see, bullish bias on USDN. Let me know what you think about it. A new currency pair that I want to add to the watch list is USD Swiss franc. So let's have a look what is happening right there. So we had a monthly breakout structure right there. Again, you can see when it's with a wick, it's usually not that strong, followed by a very nice body close right there. So we had the low here. This one, I wouldn't really consider it to be a lower high, but it could be just 1 month of a slowdown, then we continue to drop lower, then 1 month of a slowdown again, we continue to drop lower. So you can see, unlike some of the currencies, right, USD Swiss franc was very nicely bearish, but this pair, like USD CAD, it also tends to have its periods of consolidation, which is something that I don't like within pairs, right? Dropping onto the weekly time frame, we had a weekly break of structure right there, and that is the weekly lower high. So where is the market currently? Well, it's potentially about to be making a weekly lower high, right? And I really like the momentum that it pushed down, and I like the slow momentum that it's actually pulling back right now. But again, the monthly is at a lower low, so can we expect like a bigger pullback? Well, maybe it's just gonna like stop for a little bit and then just continue to drop lower. So I'm just gonna say bearish bias on the monthly, bearish bias on the weekly, and in fact the positioning of the weekly is getting better and better. But when you have pure imbalance like this, the market does tend to chop around a little bit more, gather some more liquidity before it launches in the opposite direction, right? So you can see right here, like USD Swiss franc hasn't been very kind lately, because yeah, it's been chopping around also during the whole of August, like not very clear move. So again, all the markets were like this. We had a break up, we had a week down right there, and right now, are we going to be taking out the high or not? Well, we're going to see, because technically right now, if you take this wick as a break, then your daily is bearish, so that is the daily supply. But the market is coming inside, it rejected, and it tries to kind of hold, but I really don't see it holding actually. And again, the forward time frame is always the best time frame, which is always going to give us a clue what is happening. Lower low, no, sorry, this is a little bit wrong. So let me correct myself, because this is the forward low, that is the forward high, that was a whole range right there. We had a little wick right there, but that wick, it's kind of part of the range because it didn't really create any valid structure. So this is where we actually had a forwardly bearish alignment, and then immediately followed we have a forwardly bullish alignment, and then here we have a forwardly breakout structure, and that is the most recent forwardly demand zone. So pretty much again, as we had on the Dixie, bullish. I would say also that this one is bullish, pullback, and then target potentially that high for a potential liquidity target, and then from there we're gonna see what's gonna happen. So USD Swiss franc, I'm gonna say bullish for right now, it's at a 40-hour high. It's taking a lot of liquidity, so I would really love to see like a little pullback towards this demand zone, towards the 50%, and then maybe we can look for a potential long. So that's using Swiss franc. Very quick, very simple. Let's have a couple of outlooks to see how this one moves to determine whether we're gonna keep it on the list. All right, next on the list are the GBPs. So once again, similar to like Euro USD and like DXY, overall bearish on the monthly. We had this massive drop right there. We have this very nice pullback right here, right? And right now the market kind of printed this pin bar. It printed this month a nice bearish candle, not very strong, not very weak as well. So kind of gives me a bearish vibe that it wants to start pushing down. But again, we also had a bearish candle right there. We also had a bearish candle right there. The market did not push down. Okay, so again, don't have any outcomes. And yes, I can say the monthly time frame is bearish. We've pulled back above the 50%. Even if we take the range like this, we're definitely into premium, about to be traveling to the downside. But again, it could take more time. Now, what I really like about this right now is that we're having a weekly trend change. So the weekly time frame broke up here, and the weekly time frame broke right there with a nice body. Right, so pretty much, yeah, we can say that this is the weekly high, weekly low, and this week we have an inside bar. So the market pulled back, it rejected violently, so we can immediately expect that next week is gonna take out this low right there just for a little bit, and then are we gonna have a pullback or are we gonna have a continuation lower? We're gonna see, right? So then again, dropping onto the daily time frame, which is gonna offer us a very clear market structure. Why? Well, because we had a daily break right here. Why is the daily break right there? Well, because we had a daily low here and we had a daily high here, right? So from this low to this high, the market pulled back, it chopped around for quite some time, then it broke down, right? That's the lower high that caused the break lower. We pull back, lower high, right now we're headed to the downside, so I can definitely say we could be headed for this low. Now on the 40 time frame, let's see what happens right there. I did forecast last week that we could potentially like pull back and hold from some of those levels. But yeah, it kind of went tricky because it didn't really hold from here, but it actually came in and grabbed it as a structural liquidity into that daily supply, right? Grabbed it, and then technically then you can say the 40 time frame aligned right here. So very simply, that is the last hourly supply. You can draw it like this, you can draw it like this, right? You decide how big you want to keep your zones. But what I'm gonna say is that we can either potentially head lower, initiate a pullback, and then look for a lower high, or we can pull back, take a short, and then take out the low, right? So there is my GU forecast. I'm definitely bearish on this pair, so let's see how it's gonna play out. Those are the two potential scenarios that I see, but it definitely looks very clear. So let's see how it's going to play out, and make sure to stay tuned for Flow with the Markets on Tuesday. GBP JPY on the monthly time frame, it's very, very, very high, right? It's pretty high right there. The monthly candle is a nice bullish, but with a similar wicks on the top and the bottom. So kind of indecisive, right? But in a very massive monthly high. So can we expect the pullback? Yes, but again, that doesn't give us a lot of value, because again, first we have to see a weekly trend change, a daily trend change, and a 40 trend change. Okay, so weekly time frame is bullish. There's the weekly break, weekly high. Right now we're pulling back on the weekly, and then daily time frame we are actually bearish because we had a break up here, we had a breakdown there, we had the supply right there. So the market actually did pull back into supply on Wednesday, then immediately rejected, and right now we can say that the daily is most likely headed towards this low, right? And then of course we can work our way on the FOH. The FOH was tricky, like it broke down here, then it broke up here, it was bullish, pullback, broke up. So yeah, this is the hourly bearish alignment, and that is the last lower high. So that really looks like Euro Yen, exactly like Euro Yen, right? So let's see if it's gonna hold from this zone right there. It doesn't look very strong. It already kind of went inside to retest the zone. Let's see if it holds and if it goes for liquidity target. If it doesn't, it's most likely gonna pull us back a little bit higher, then form the lower high there and then drop. So what I'm gonna say is that the GBPs are definitely bearish. GU and GJ look definitely bearish, but if I am to pick, I'm definitely gonna pick GU because it's very clean. It looks pretty good. Daily is bearish, weekly is bearish, everything is bearish. And pretty much if you get a short on this one, you're always gonna get a very high probability trade. So again, wait for the market to open, wait for it to develop, and of course, wait for your strategy and for your trading setup to develop before you take any trades, but short buys overall on the GBPs. All right, let's have a look at gold, which is very straightforward. So on gold, we had this monthly range right there. In fact, that is actually the low. The market pulled back below the 50%, tries to push, it fails. Came in and took out, no, it didn't take out this low. I thought it took it, but again, tries to push down, tries to push up, fails. Came back to grab liquidity, then it tried really hard to push down and take out this high. It failed. Then, of course, this became liquidity. The market came in, grabbed this liquidity, then that could potentially have fueled a new high, but the market tries to push. It failed, right? So right now, technically, this low has failed to cause a high. So it could definitely be liquidity, but the market could just be like pulling back a little bit before attacking the high. But this high is going to get taken only when the dollar starts trending down and the dollar is just about to start trending up. So gold, I can say, just based on a fundamental macro perspective, we are overall bearish, right? So weekly break of structure right there, weekly break of structure right here, weekly break of structure right there, weekly supply. So overall bearish, right? We have a very strong demand zone to the left, which hasn't been tapped yet. So I do see shorts still playing on gold. Daily time frame, let's have a look what is happening on the daily. So daily high, low, lower low. Yeah, so is this a liquidity gap or is this a daily trend change? So yeah, that is the big question right now. And when I'm questioning things like between the weekly and the daily and this stuff, I always go back to the FOIH, right? So what is the 40 time frame doing right now? It's tapping into a very big supply. It's taking some structural liquidity, right? Just on the, like on Wednesday, chop, broke the low. No, it didn't break the low because this was the demand. Just came back to retest demand. So then it actually formed a 4-hourly structure break. And then immediately after the structure break, we formed a 4-hourly trend change, right? That created a 4-hourly new supply. So I'm just very simply going to say bearish bias on gold, wait for this pullback, and then we can potentially expect all of this imbalance to be filled. Potentially like, yeah, this is where we could be headed next towards this demand zone right there. So yeah, I mean, the daily time frame is rather tricky. The thing that made it tricky is that this looked like a daily break of structure right there. So then, of course, if this high is taken, then that is a daily break of structure bullish. And then this is going to be our daily low, right? Daily higher low, higher high, potential pullback. That could definitely be the case. But again, on the daily time frame, I don't really look at structure that much rather than liquidity, right? And where could the market be headed next, right? So right now, it makes a lot of sense for the market to pull back. And even if this is like a bullish, there is the most recent imbalance. So this is where most likely we're going to be headed next. So what I'm going to say right now, short-term bias on gold is bearish. Let's see how it's going to play out. This looks like a definitely nice shorting area, but if it just continues to drop lower, you can keep following shorts until we tap this zone. And then from there, we're going to see what's going to happen. So again, take it step by step. Right now, shorts. Let me know what you guys think about gold because you are the masters. All right, let's have a look at the indices to wrap it up. So since this little bearish market we had at the beginning of 2022, right, we had a very nice bearish market. And then, of course, the beginning of 2023, we already had an alignment. And you can see we didn't do much, but right now we're starting to get a little bit of a bullish theme. So it doesn't matter if you look at the market like this, right? We kind of came to the 50% right there if you take it from this low to this high. If you take it from this low to this high, it was absolutely 50%. So once again, it is subjective, right? But what we had is a downtrend right there. That was a 40% drop. And we had a 20% drop right there. But this was a crash. This is COVID crash. And this is just a regular market correction, right? So is the correction done for the market to start heading higher and make all-time highs? Well, so far it actually looks like it. Because again, you can see on the weekly time frame, we had like a downtrend. Very nice. But then we aligned bullish on the weekly. We pull back, weekly higher low. And right now we aligned bullish again, right? So not aligned, but we actually just made another weekly structure break because the other one was right there. Right, so weekly break, pull back, weekly break. Right now we're pulling back. So again, the question is it going to hold from this weekly demand or is it going to hold from this one or is it going to hold from this one? Well, that is, of course, the tricky question we have to answer. But what we see like this week is that the market came on to fill in that daily imbalance because, again, we're trading between this daily low and this daily high. Fueling the imbalance, massive reaction immediately. In fact, like on Friday, we already filled it on Friday, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, bullish. And right now we're having a little bit of a pullback right there. Now, There's a little imbalance right there that we can expect to be filled, and then dropping onto the hourly time frame, we can expect the daily to go there, and then from there we wait for a hourly bullish alignment in order to start taking longs. Now on the Forex, we had a break up, we had a breakdown, and technically we're bearish right now, and we had a little breakdown right there, which was exactly like on NFP. So not the best structure exactly right now. I mean, it looks like the rest of the pairs is gonna hold from here and push lower, is gonna like push down a little bit and then form a valid range, or maybe it's gonna break up again. We don't know. Like, just basing it on the daily time frame, if I take this range like that, yeah, we can definitely expect like below the 50%. So I say there is a lot of confluence for the market to pull us back below the 50% and fill in that daily imbalance, right? So I would look for a setup like this on the Forex, right? So keeping it very simple, there is my outlook on US30. Just wanna keep things very simple. Now also Nasdaq, like Nasdaq, you can see actually during COVID, it had like, yeah, 30% drop, but it doesn't look that big, right? And actually this year, well, I'm sorry, 2022, we had the similar thing, right? 37% drop, and right now we massively recovered this year, already more than halfway up. Okay, so right now, yeah, it's sitting at a higher high right there. So we had, let's say we had this monthly breakdown. Then we have this monthly trend change. So right now the monthly range is from this low to this high. So can we start expecting a pullback? Well, maybe, but that is the stock market. That's not the Forex market, like trying to rebalance at the 50%. No, if this one goes, it just goes. If the stocks are strong, if those 100 stocks are strong, it's gonna go, right? So weekly time frame, rather tricky because we have this weekly break up, then we have this weekly breakdown. So is the market gonna hold from this supply and push down? That's what we're gonna be seeing this week. Daily time frame, it also gets tricky because you can see you start having differences between monthly, weekly, daily, and then the fall is also gonna be different because on the daily, like we had a daily break here that we can count as a break, the market pullback, hold from a daily demand zone, and then it went up right there, broke the high, and then we have a new daily demand. So right now the daily time frame is bullish while we're tapping inside this kind of weekly supply. So which one is gonna hold, right? And then it drop on the 4-hourly time frame, and you're gonna see right here on the 4-hourly time frame. Right now it's not very clear, so what I'm gonna have to tell you on this one is to give it some time to get clear on the Forex, because if you start getting clear in bearish structure on the Forex, then we can definitely go short because the weekly is bearish and maybe this weekly supply is holding. But if you start having like a bullish structure, or maybe if the market gets right there and aligns bullish and start trading into the highs, then you can of course start going long because you're having a daily demand right there that can support bullish prices. Okay, so exactly right now, not a very clear bias, because again guys, if I don't do this analysis, all I'm looking for is 4-hourly time frame, like a little bit on the daily. But again, the 4-hourly time frame right now, if I just open the chart today and I see this, like, yeah, sure. If I just see this, I don't trade. Like chop, 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 massive up, massive down. What is happening? I don't know, right? If I'm extremely systematic, then yes, we have like a trend change right there. We have a supply. Am I gonna trade from this? Maybe I can entertain to see what's gonna happen from here. So yeah, there it is. Also bearish, but then according to me, US30 looks a little bit more better, and it has like a little bit better outcome when it comes to the daily as well. SPX monthly time frame already recovered quite a lot. I'm very sad that I didn't put more money in down there. Pushing up. So right now, can we expect a pullback? Maybe, right? Weekly time frame. So again, it's very questionable whether these are weekly higher lows right there. I really don't think so. Like to me, I want to see a clear pullback with more candles on the weekly, right? Because we hear like one candle broke. Like, is this really high low? I don't think so. So again, weekly time frame is not very clear. And then of course, dropping onto the daily break, daily trend change, daily demand. So if SPX right now starts pulling back towards this demand zone and this daily leg below the 50%, there is that imbalance. So if you start pulling back towards these zones, I am going to be looking to buy and potentially then target this high and eventually get us towards the highs right there. So there is the S&P daily bias. And of course, if you drop on a Forex, just because right now we're at a daily high, we have a potential hourly bearish alignment. So you can start taking intraday shorts right towards that daily target, and then from that daily target you can wait for the 4-hourly time frame to align bullish, and then you start taking macro longs, right? So there is the S&P. Very nice, very simple. Crypto, we had a very nice pump right there, but then we had a very nice dump. So that is what happens with crypto. I do believe like this is a pretty good idea to stack up onto some crypto. But again, if this level fails to hold, it's going to become liquidity. And then most likely it's going to pull us back all the way down to 22K. So again, I'm not a very big crypto fan, but again, like on the monthly time frame, it's bearish. No, it's not bearish because we had a breakdown, we had a breakup. So if I look at the monthly time frame, well, that's the low. And that's the high, and it hasn't really tapped the 50%. So if I just base it on pulling back below the 50%, like 23 to 22 is a very viable target for potential pullback. So again, keep this in mind. But again, I don't trade crypto. I don't invest in it as well right now. So let's see how this level is going to hold, because if we break below this level, that is going to be very interesting, because we're going to have a weekly trend change. And that can, of course, open like all the way this level down there. So let's see what's going to happen. Let me know if there are any crypto junkies out there having any better analysis than me. Ethereum, as I keep saying every time I say this, I'm only going to be buying if it gets to 900. Okay, now for a little summary, DXY right now, it's starting to turn a little bit bullish. So if the DXY is bullish, like all the USD pairs are potentially going to be bearish, looking for a pullback and a continuation, or taking out the liquidity and then initiating a pullback. So Euro USD is definitely bearish, which is my favorite pair. So I'm going to be focusing on shorts. But of course, if it takes out this low, I'm going to be taking longs into this supply. And that is what I call flow with the markets. The JPYs are tricky across all the currency pairs, right? So EJ looks the best. The Aussies and the NZDs, just give them a complete skip. Don't look at them. USD JPY looks more bullish. So right now it's causing a forward trend change right there. So let's see if we get a pullback and a continuation higher with support of the DXY, right? So DXY and USD JPY, you can monitor those two for more confidence. USD Swissy with the bullish DXY, we can expect a potential push into the highs. GBP USD, bearish bias, absolutely. So I'm going to be looking to short this pair, while GJ, it's also bearish bias, but it's kind of a JPY pair, so not very high probability right now. Gold, also bearish bias right now. At least expecting a very short-term bearishness to just fill in that imbalance right there. And then from there, we're going to see what's going to happen. And indices are having like a short-term bearish bias, but they are overall long, right? But they are in a daily high, all of them. So we can expect like a short-term pullback. So if you get any short on the indices, you can definitely go for a short. And this is how I'm gonna wrap up this video. It's get pretty long. I'm gonna give my best to keep them shorter, because I see like the average view time of these videos are like 12 minutes. So most likely you're tuning in to have a look at your favorite pairs and like skipping throughout the video. So I'm gonna give my best to keep them shorter. Let me know what you're looking for next week. What is your favorite pair? How did you perform this week? And stay tuned for Flow with the Markets Tuesday. Talk to you then.